What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is Married to Medicine LA. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. And once again, I want to thank all my new subscribers. I welcome you and I hope you like it and you stick around. Drop it in them comments. Let me know what you think. So this is episode 6, I think. I'll put the right episode in the description. But we start the episode off where we left off last week with them girls up on that rooftop arguing. Now, let me tell y'all something. There was a whole lot of backpedaling and pussy popping up on that rooftop. So let me just try to take it a little bit at a time. So let's start off with Asha and Shanique. Asha got mad because Shanique threw out... No, hold on. I'm not getting ahead of myself, honey. Let me not get ahead of myself. They were still arguing about the girlfriend being at the event. And they're going back and forth. And so Shanique was like, well, I think it's something else that's wrong with you. I think you're upset about something else. And, you know, Asha was like, what? What am I mad about? She was like, I think you're upset because, you know, there was some overlap there. And she proceeds to tell the ladies what Robert told her, which was that there was some overlap between Asha and this particular ex. And so Shanique is insinuating, you know, that there was some back and forth. And so you're a little insecure about the whole situation. Honey, Asha got her tail up. She walked away and she called her husband. Now, let me tell y'all something. There are a couple of ways you can respond to something like that. She called her husband, and they didn't show us the whole conversation, so I don't know everything that was said or wasn't said. But it sounded like she was really giving him some alley-oops so he could slam dunk what he wanted to tell her, because, first of all, I wouldn't have called him in that moment. I would have waited till I got home, and I would have had a conversation with him and be like, look, I need a timeline. But then the other side of that is, you get the timeline, what you gonna do? Y'all been married for 2 years. You say that you happy. If he did have a moment where he was trying to flip-flop and figure it out and y'all had a fight, and when y'all had a fight, he called the ex-girlfriend, hell, we all do it. You know, y'all broke up for a couple of weeks, so he was dating the ex because it was familiar and it was what he knew, and he started thinking, well, maybe this could work, and then he realized, nah, that ain't gonna work, and he came back to you. All right, fast forward 4 years. What you gonna do now? So it was petty as hell for Shanique to bring it up. So Dr. Amani goes to talk to Asha to bring her back to the group. And Asha was like, well, I'm not coming back unless I get an apology. If you could promise me an apology. Dr. Amani can't promise you an apology. She can't make nobody say nothing. Even if this were her real job in group therapy, you can't make somebody apologize. So she was like, I'll try my best. You know what I mean? And her face said that too. Like, I'll try. And so they came back over to the group. And the way Dr. Amani worded it, it gave Shanique an outlet. Because she said, well, you apologize for bringing it up to the group. Not so much that admit that it wasn't true or nothing like that. She didn't do that. Can you just apologize for how you brought it to the group? And Shanique did. And then Shanique now this is where the backpedaling and the pussy pop come from. Well, I wasn't trying to insinuate that he cheated. That's exactly what you were trying. There's no other way to take what you said. There's no other way to read into that other than there was some overlap between you and your husband's ex. And he was dating both y'all at the same time or engaged to one or the other. There's no other way to insinuate anything different. And so now you're backpedaling and pussy popping. I would respect you more if you stood in your shit and said, well, look, I'm sorry that I brought it up in front of the whole group, but you know what I mean? I would have respected that whole situation more. Now, then we get to, so Dr. Amani was like, all right, look, we ain't going to have a resolution tonight. That's the best we're going to do. Let's move on. So she says, does anybody else have anything to say? Now, for me, I feel like that would have been the perfect opportunity for Dr. Amani to address the drug dealer situation, because you knew Candace was pissed off. You knew Candace knew what you said, and you knew she was upset about it. But instead, you threw it out to the group, and then Britton brings it up. I don't like how Britton brought it up, because Britton says, well, there's some concerns that things aren't what they seem. And I like Dr. Imani. Dr. Imani, if you're watching this, I like you. I really do. But I don't like you in this situation, because then she got the backpedaling and pussy popping, talking about something. Well, I just said it as a joke. No, you didn't. You weren't playing. You were not joking. And if that's how you joke, And now, it's not even so much what you said. You didn't laugh. You never broke a smile. You never cackled. None of that. And if you were joking, when y'all went to dinner that first of all, if you were joking, you would have said it to Candace as a joke. Girl, your house look like a drug dealer house. It's beautiful in here. That's how you say it as a joke, and you laugh about it, and you keep it moving. If you had done that to Candace, and Candace got offended, then I could have been like, well, Candace been a little sensitive. She was kind of joking. But you didn't do that. You waited until y'all were having dinner, and when you said it, and everybody kind of looked at you like you were crazy, you were like, you got defensive. What? It did. Well, it did. You were not joking. And again, instead of saying, you know what? That was probably bad taste. That was probably in bad taste. I probably shouldn't have said that. You dug your heels in. And even when you were talking to your husband a little bit later on in the episode, you dug your heels in again. So you weren't joking. It wasn't a joke. You meant what you said. Because you even said, well, when I hung out with friends of mine who may have indulged in those types of activities, it just reminded me of their house. Then you weren't fucking joking. You meant it. But just say, I shouldn't have said it. Just say, my bad, you got offended, and I'm sorry. But don't sit here and try to act like you were just playing, because you weren't. You meant that. Now, with all of that being said, honey, Candace, honey, let me tell y'all something about Candace. Don't sleep on her. Candace was giving it to them. Do you hear me? Candace, honey, Candace got shade and shade on top of shade. And then when Asha tried to come for Candace, talking about some, she said, well, Asha, where'd you go to medical school? I mean, Amani, where'd you go to medical school? And Amani wrapped out her little medical school situation. And, Asha gonna say, well, Candace, don't ask questions you don't know the answers to. Well, did you go to college? She said, yes, I went to Cal, blah, blah, blah. She said, did you graduate? Yes, I did. See, you was looking stupid then because you were waiting for her to be like, I didn't go to college or I didn't graduate. Yes, she graduated now. Don't matter what she graduated in. It don't matter what kind of a degree she has. She graduated. And you was trying to shade her and it didn't work. So then you're going to try to say, oh, I teach there. Maybe you could take my class. Honey, Candace said, why would I want to take your level 100 acting class? Ooh. See, Candace is ready for y'all. Don't sleep on Candace. Candace ready for y'all. Y'all can keep playing if you want to. And then her and Dr. Monty got into it because she did do this. She said, don't compare me to your level of success. And she did go down. Honey, that set Dr. Amani off, which it should have, and it would have set me off too because you was being shady. And you were insinuating that I was not successful and I haven't, been successful. And then Dr. Amani said, well, if I threw up my legs to get what I got, then boom, boom, boom. Well, I mean, there's an argument there too. So that's kind of where it went. They said, you know what, I'm out of here. Because then Asha started going at Shanique again. And Shanique was like, you know what, she said, there's more I could say. But I ain't even going to say nothing. I ain't even got time to waste on y'all. I'm out of here. So her and Candace left because, of course, they rode together. And that was pretty much the end of that evening. And I done spent 8 minutes on that damn argument. So let's move on to the rest of the episode. So, we see that Dr. Noel's daughter is having some problems adjusting to her new school, which Dr. Noel kind of thought she would have some problems adjusting to her new school. She was a little nervous about that. And she said she's torn between putting her daughter in a more diverse school that may not be as rigorous academically and putting her in a more rigorous academic school that's not going to be as diverse. And that is a struggle for parents. It's a struggle for parents in a lot of places. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox and I'm not about to sit here and preach because I could talk education all night. I'm going to leave that alone. But I do understand her struggle. Last week, I questioned that if she was so worried about diversity, could she not have found a great private school that was a little bit more diverse? And I still feel like maybe she could, but again, I don't live in LA. I can't speak to the private school situation in LA or the prep school or whatever, but I'm thinking that she is in a school that doesn't really, and her daughter was saying that. Now, I think the way her daughter was talking, it sounds to me like her daughter has overheard some conversations and she's picking up on what her mom has said, her mom's anxieties. Because she wasn't, I think at the end of the day, she was just having a hard time adjusting to a new school. She didn't have any friends. She didn't know anybody. Like I said last week, you're not at the top of the totem pole anymore. You know, going from elementary school to middle school, you know, elementary school, you the top of the totem pole. You the 8th grader, 6th grader, whatever it runs. You drop back down when you transition into middle school. You back at the bottom of the totem pole. So on top of that, everything you knew was different. You don't know the kids, you don't know the school, you don't know the teachers. Everything is new. Then you add in the fact, nobody looks like me. But kids are very resilient. And I feel like, how do I say this? Because I don't want to sound like I'm being insensitive. I feel like Dr. Nicole has put a lot of her own anxieties onto her daughter, whether she did it consciously or not. Because again, hearing her daughter talk, it really sounded like she was repeating her mother. Not so, because kids don't talk like that. I'm around kids all day, every day. Kids just don't. I'm not saying I shouldn't say kids don't talk like that. I'm saying that I just feel like that was coming from something she's overheard and she put in her own mind versus where she really was coming from. But we saw a really good conversation between her and her husband. We saw her husband for the first time, and he pulled her down because when she was talking to her daughter, she did a really good job because, you know, her daughter is dramatic. You know, her daughter was like, oh, I forgot to talk about that part too. Asha is so damn dramatic. Asha was talking about nobody defended me. And they were like, bitch, what you talking about? That's what we've been doing all night. Anyway, back to them. So, her daughter was just like, I just can't see myself going back to that school. And her mother, and you know, Nicole was like, girl, you are so dramatic. Go on somewhere. So I think she did a good job dealing with her and talking to her in that moment. But then when she was talking to her husband, she was really upset and anxious and really, you know, just trying to figure out what to do or whatever. And her husband told her, like, look, she's going to have to just take her hits. Like, nothing is happening that she can't handle. This is life. Life throws you curveballs. Life throws you situations where you're the new kid on the block. I mean, when you go to a new job, when she goes to high school, when she goes to college, like, you're going to always be in these situations, and you got to figure it out. Like, that's what we do. We can't keep holding our kids' hand through every single thing. Like, we just can't keep doing that. Though I do think that, I think they did a good job, though, of handling that. I do. I already talked about Dr. Amani talking to her husband. I'm going to get back to Dr. Amani in a moment. We saw Dr. Britton going to look at some houses. Let me tell y'all something. This situation is a shit show. I don't know how. I think they're going to have to do Married to Medicine Orlando edition because everybody likes Dr. Britton. But I don't think Dr. Britton going to be staying in L.A. She can't find a house. She can't find a house that's close enough. And in their price range, that's going to give them what they want and what they have in Orlando. She said they were sitting on 3 acres in Orlando with boat docks, pool, land. They had a 3-car garage. They had a beautiful, it's because they still have it, beautiful home in Orlando. And you're just not going to get that in LA for the price, for the location. Like, you're just not going to get it. And her husband is like, look, if you don't find, and we saw her go on a job interview, which looks, you know, very promising. I thought she was dressed very interesting. And she said later on that she had on a suit, but I didn't see no suit, but okay. We see Shanique talking to Robert, and she told Robert how things went down at the little get-together. And Robert was like, look, yeah, I told you that in confidence. Like, it was never my intention for you to throw that at Shanique like that. And he told her she needed to apologize to Shanique. I said, okay, Robert, all right. Now, I understand you said you told her that in confidence, but you knew it was a damn camera there. It wasn't no damn confidence. You said it in front of the daggone camera. So even if she didn't repeat it, they was going to bring it up. Neither here nor there. We see Shanique get together with Candace. Now, we know that Shanique and Candace are truly good friends. But we start to see, just when I started to give Candace some credit, we started to see the other side of Miss Candace, the spoiled side, she doesn't eat anything. She eats avocado toast and keto and drinks water, and her body is banging. Like, I can't front. Her body is banging, right? And she just had a baby. And she's complaining about getting the baby together and how hard it is for her to do this and how, she's just struggling. And she's talking about how hard it is. And Shanique was like, well, I work a full-time job, and I got a husband who works a full-time job, and we have 2 kids, and you know, I'm trying to handle and juggle and do what I have to do. And honey, Candace gonna say, without a nanny? Shanique was like, yeah, without a nanny. And Shanique was like, look, I love me some Candace to death, but she could just be a bit much. But Candace is spoiled, and Candace was probably spoiled before she married her husband. But of course, you know, that adds to the whole spoiled thing. But yeah, baby, people have been doing it for a very long time, taking care of kids without nannies. And you don't even work. So it's like, anyway. We see Dr. Britton and Dr. Monty go get a tattoo. Dr. Monty's getting herself a tattoo. She said she likes tattoos. Sometimes she just wake up and say, I'm getting a tattoo today. And we found out that Dr. Britton got some other tattoos that she can't tell us about. Probably tattoos you can only see when somebody got on a bikini or something. But anyway, so they talk, you know, they have a nice little light conversation. And, you know, Amani was saying she didn't want to see Dr. Britton have to move back. She was telling her about the struggle she was having finding a house and everything with that and a job, and told her she went on a job interview. And, you know, they just talk, girlfriend talk. Dr. Monty brings up the whole dinner again or whatever, and the whole drug dealer thing again. And she is digging her heels in, y'all. She doesn't think she did anything wrong. She doesn't think she owed anybody an apology. And I'm just like, all right, girl. You keep on. You keep that energy. You keep it up. But Dr. Monty mama come through. She said they have a really good relationship. They live about 5 minutes from each other. See each other about 3 times a week and all that good stuff. And her mother's very accomplished. Like, I think it's been reported that her mother's done some great things. Mother's very accomplished. And Dr. Monty said, you know, my mother didn't accept anything less than excellence. And that's, you know, I attribute that to my success. You know, she didn't accept that from me. Now, I'm not going to say I necessarily like the way her mom worded some things, because I think her mom was being very careful in her wording and being very strategic in how she said things, and that so it didn't come off a certain way. But basically, her mama told her, "You wrong. You need to apologize to that woman. Like, you were wrong for putting it out there that that they're drug dealers." She said, "People express their success in different ways. Some people express their success, they buy a nice home." She said if they want to have 5 Bentleys in their driveway, that is their way of expressing their success. That is their way of saying, look, we have arrived. Look at what we have. And she said but there's nothing wrong if that's how they choose to express it. If that's how they choose to spend their money. You were wrong for putting it out there and embarrassing that woman that way. That is an embarrassing thing to say to somebody. And her mother got her, like I said, they went through Robin Hood's barn to get there, but by the time they got to the location, Dr. Monty was like, all right, I guess I owe her an apology. But she was like, I ain't apologizing. She said, you the only person that could get me to apologize. You the only person that could get me to do it. And I was like, well, I'm glad your mama got you there. But I still ain't necessarily crazy about how it was worded. Because, see, I'm a straightforward person. At the end of the day, you were wrong for what you said. Ain't no need in sugarcoating it and making it sound all nice and pretty. You said what you said and you were wrong for it. And you need to apologize to Candace. You ain't got to like Candace. Because I'm sure in this case, I'm on Candace's side, but I predict that Candace is probably going to frustrate me more than Dr. Amani's going to frustrate me. But in this moment, in this situation, you were wrong. Now, that's how this episode went down. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.